Good morning. It has been quite a while. So a lot of weird things happened. We were going strong on the previous server, and then a chunk corroded. The area that I had been building in, which you all were watching, was fine, but unfortunately the area with the shop and the volcano and everything else, it became unplayable. So we re-rolled on a new server. We got started. And if you've seen Lord Eximius's video yet, he kind of alluded to a matter which kind of kept us all kind of quiet and distant. One of our oldest and best friends in our group passed away suddenly. So we had a lot of work emotionally to work on some healing and get ourselves motivated. We were playing this group, so Eximius and Dianos and Swag and him had formed another group, and they had a base, and their base was somewhere that way. And we got started here, and then everything kind of corrupted and went weird. And so we have been playing. There just wasn't much motivation to share that and to record, because for a lot of us, even though it was just kind of like going through the motions, you heard Eximius state, that fallback bull, who was the player that I'm referring to, would have wanted us to continue, and that's exactly what he would have wanted us to do. But that didn't make it less hard for us to start. So we just started going through the motions of doing things, and Spawn is that way. And if you've seen Eximius's video, you will have... what are you doing? Spawn is that way, and if you've seen Eximius's video, you kind of know that one of our primary goals is to build a gigantic statue in his honor. And then we're also building a Venice build, and you saw that absolutely gross building that I'm working on. And yes, I will continue to do it, I promise. But I needed to stop to get some blocks. So he alluded to the madness that I've been doing over here, and I figured to help support him and get his viewers back up and running, I figured I'd show a little bit of the madness. So part of my goal was to always build a trading hall iron farm. There's been a lot of videos on it recently. Silent, Prowl, they all did. And I kind of took inspiration from Prowl's work and started going bonkers. Now you'll notice, this is like the base rough draft of what the actual final look of the design is. Right now it's still function. If you remember from the last season, I tend to go function first and make sure that I have a lot of what I need before I actually start working. Oh, there it goes. Goodbye, cat. Oh, the horror. Oh, the absolute horror. And done. But, so I created this village, and you'll also, so I've got most of the librarians you would need. I killed off a couple of them. You notice there's a couple spaces with some library blocks. Those were villagers that needed to have space. So there are 80 beds up there. And for whatever reason, I didn't have 80 villagers in here, but the iron golems and the villagers wouldn't link, so they didn't consider it 80 beds. So I had to remove some of them. And we're saying, wait a minute, if I go around and I do the math, there's no way you have 80 villagers just on this floor. And you're right, I don't. And as you can see with Bedrock, the way that it works is the farm is most efficient when you have... Oh, there's another cat. The farm is most efficient when there are at least 30 villagers, and then they will spawn up to 3 villagers in the same tick. And that's rare when it happens. The proc rate is rare. The most efficient is 20, which if you've watched any of the builds on how to do an iron farm in Bedrock, you know that already. So I've created that. Up here I have all the librarians that are necessary. I got rid of some of the ones that weren't, and then I stocked all their books first. We'll get to all that in a second. These were some of the librarians I killed. I've got 4 clerics because, as we all know, with the last update, clerics now sell glowstone, not just the glowstone dust. So I wanted to make sure we have that. Bottles of enchanting, all that kind of stuff. I only have 1 loom. That's for the patterns. And then I have several masons, and all of them have been traded in such a fashion that they do not have any quartz pillar block. They all just have quartz block. And so this is floor 1. And just the carnage. The carnage. And the carnage is all consuming, and it continues, and it just keeps going and going. I AFK here a lot. So part of the idea here is that I've mopped up the chunk lines. If you're wondering why there's random granite blocks just kind of floating around, like you can see behind me over my left shoulder, right by that glowstone as this golem dies, everything's been mapped out to chunk line because I wanted to have a place where I could AFK, produce a bunch of materials, and get it all done. And I wanted to cram as many farms as I possibly could into one place. So this is just the top level. And, you know, we're going to do a lot more. I've got a wonderful overarching design. I've taken a look at Pinterest and some other things, and we'll get to what the actual theme of our build progress is going to be later in another video. Because right now, really all you're seeing is, you know, some dark oak and some bone block. It looks maybe kind of odd, and it doesn't make much sense, and there's still stone, and yeah, it's ugly still, I know that. That right there is the villager that started the whole village, so he's separated. And then what I needed to do was build this entire ridiculous sorting system. And you'll notice that I've got this rail system behind everything. And one of them actually died, so we'll go to the other side. I have yet to convert all of the villagers here for maximum trade benefit. So I took a page from Silent Whisper, and I've got zombies set up. So when I finally get to that stage, because right now it's really not that necessary. I mean, I may not even have to because it's already bonkers anyway. I can go ahead and I can convert all of these zombies. Now I need to put a roof over here. That's how the other one died. He wasn't wearing a helmet like this guy is. And I was trying to get the masons, which are located on the opposite side, better rates for stone. But that failed horribly, made a big mistake. And you're saying, wait a minute, what's all this? There is a ridiculous 3-level storage system that's in here. Now the storage system, if you look at Silent's video when they released the ability for target block to transfer redstone, that's what this is all based off of. So I have all the woods up here, and we still haven't yet built a cactus farm. That's what this is for. Glowstone, granite, sandstone, just some of the normal blocks that we're going to get. And then for the trades, I've got the diorite, I've got the granite, I've got the andesite, and then I've got the gravel. And then we take this water chute down and we get to level 2. And this is where it looks a little bit cleaner down here. It's still gross. You can still see the zombies over there. You can still see like cobblestone and dirt and things that look unfinished. It's because it's not finished. But I had a lot more farmers, but I got rid of them. But I went ahead and I stocked all the food products first. So all these boxes are filled with all the kind of food products that they can make. And then this is my library of books, all those chests are filled. And I've got a section here for the crossbow, and I also have a section here for what you can do with the trident. I took those villagers, those librarians out because it's kind of a flavor thing. It's not going to be somebody that somebody uses all the time. It's, you know, you can use it for a farm, you can use it if you want to kind of, you know, mess around with trident mobility, but it's not a necessity. So I got rid of those librarians, even though I wanted to have a library that had everything, because the iron farm wasn't working. And then you're saying, wait a minute, what's all that? We'll get to it, I promise. So you can, and over here on this side, we have all the tools, all weapons, just like in the last season where I had at least everything had one final edge enchant. They're all here. And then I reduced the amount of Fletchers. Now I don't have Turtle Master. Mr. Thurston was saying that he was considering Turtle Master. I might nuke one of these guys and put it in, but I have, you know, harming, wither, poison. I have jumping and run speed, and then health. I have. If you want to do some kind of weird game here, you have some stuff that has beneficial effects, but I didn't go for every single arrow in the game like I did last year. And then we have the continuing of the storage system. Now, there are some stuff here that I haven't collected yet. Like, why do I have gold nuggets here? There isn't a gold farm here. I may not put one in. My original plan was I might just change that block out. But there is going to be a mob farm here, and there isn't one yet. And I'll explain that at the end of this video. So I've got all the blocks that I can create. I've got an agricultural area, which is separate from here. We'll show that in another video. We don't have time for that today. And then I have stone, cobble, dirt, sugarcane, all these things, and then you see the start of the wool. So this stone is actually almost all the way filled up because I've been doing a ridiculous build project. Why is there cobble in there? You should not be, sir. Let's just put this guy back there. All right, there we go. And then you can see below. So we'll go down there and we'll look. It's kind of a maze because, again, I was trying to cram as many farms as I possibly could into one specific area. So what you're looking at the top here is I've got 2 sugarcane farms, and Endermen love to get in there and break that for some reason. I've had to fix it like 3 or 4 times. I've got a kelp farm. I've got all the wool. Now you notice none of the sheep are sheared. My wool chests have like 3 double chests full of each color. I don't need to stock any more than that. When people start to use it more, I'll go ahead and put the stuff back in, but it's all set up. I've got cows for the beef, and it will cook it. We'll show that in a minute. And I've got this pumpkin and melon farm, and then I've got honey blocks. And that produces honey bottles, and it produces the honeycomb. And then that all goes into the storage system because there's yet another level to it. And as we allude to it, if you take a look here for a minute, you'll see that this is a bubble column and there's items that are floating up through it. Almost every single farm down here, there are 3 exceptions, feed into a water system. So if you look through the glass here, and you can see it from up here, there's a plumbing system. That plumbing system, everything will drop out and then it will filter through, and it runs all the way through the entire farm, and it dumps it out, and then it sorts it into the item sorter, or it sorts it into the top of the storage system, and that's where it all starts to run in. So it's running in this manner. It goes up there, you see where those ice blocks are, and it will carry there, drop down, carry here, drop down, carry here, and over to the bottom floor, which is where the end is at. And here we have it. This is just a trash can. Now, this was actually a problem when I first started building this. So I originally used Silence Melon Farm with the track design that he had. I discovered, and this is before like lag became a problem here because it can get laggy, that for whatever reason in this update, and I know many people have posted about it, the release rate and so when it hits this and it starts to drop everything off, and I forget what the actual exchange is, there's a timing difference. And I think because they added the allay, because the allay is essentially like a mobile hopper, that it screwed it all up. So sometimes I have to manually come through here and I have to push these or replace a cart like you just saw me do. This is where the iron farm comes down and dispenses. I can put manual entry into this place. When we get our wither killer in, this is all for the wither killer. The eggs do not go into the storage system. For the most part, I just cook them now. And once we get the wither killer up, I'm going to transport all this out, and I'll probably get rid of it because I don't know that we're going to need 8 double chests full of eggs. It's really overkill. I need to fix this farm, and an ocelot killed the chickens in there, so it was producing feather and cooked chicken. But that ocelot right there, he's literally been here since I built this first, the egg dispenser. There's no name tag on him. He doesn't go anywhere. For a month and a half, he sat here at the base of this thing just digging at the eggs. And then one day, randomly, for whatever reason, he came over to this chicken farm. and then he killed all the chickens that were in here. It's going to be an easy fix for me to do. I just need to raise this all up one level, and then I can fix it, and then the chickens will start popping out the feathers and the cooked meat, which is actually what I need. Here's the bottom of the sugar cane. And as you can see, you watch it all just kind of flows, and it's really fun to watch. It was a fun challenge to kind of figure out and sort out and build a plumbing system, because I'd never done anything to that extreme before. And then this is sadistic, but also fun. Oh, but it gets better. Dum 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 dum. And then off it goes. It is absolutely wonderful. Now, I'm standing on top of all of my wool except for the 3 that are above. And then this is where the iron farm and the honey farm and the pumpkins and the melons go. Now, this sorting system isn't completely done yet. This is the overflow, and then I have to manually put stuff from the overflow into that chest right there and then feed it back into the system. I need to and will eventually set up a bone meal, but because of the way that the villagers work, I have to go all the way to the bottom. And unlike the last one where I just kind of dispensed or put stuff through a dropper down into a giant hole and sent it all the way down, I still have a cactus farm to build, and I still need a mob farm to build. So I'm actually clearing this whole thing down to bedrock. I'm not done with that yet. I'm in the process of it currently. So as you can see, we're at Y level 67. Now I'm actually going to remove a couple of these because it looks ugly. But if I come over here, this is the guts and the plumbing and the piping. This is the mud machine and concrete machine, so I can make mud brick with it. I also break up my ore blocks here, and that way it's all clean. And voila! This has been, for like the last week and a half, my project. So before I started this dig out, I had already dug these two all the way down to bedrock, and that's where that goes. And I've actually dug some of these chunks out at bedrock already. This isn't my, like, quote-unquote starter base. My starter base is off that way. So I dug my mine down, and I've actually dug out, if I'm not mistaken, these chunks over here, these 4 chunks over here. And this is all still chunk aligned, and the thing that's really bugging me about this is that the elevator system isn't centered, and it doesn't match with the lights up top. I'm going to have to fix that because it's going to drive me absolutely bonkers, but I'm not worried about pretty yet. I have a marker for myself to make it easier, so when I want to go do the walls later on, I have an easy way to make that happen. So these are all spaced out. I think I was off by 1 block more than I should have here, so this level is actually longer than it should be. For the most part, there's 7 for the range for the pickaxe. Challenges through this is I've actually been digging through a gigantic aquifer. So instead of making it stone, I opted for the windows, just so you can see in there. And I'll probably jump in here once we're all done and put some lights in there, just to give just a little character to it. And that happened because when I was digging this 2-block section down, and yeah, this is still what I have to dig out. There is another aquifer here, and I got used to the idea of putting the glass. So this was the first dig down. So I just kept up that idea, and I know that there is water in here. I know that the aquifer does continue in spots in the middle of the chunks that I'm digging out. It's really kind of cool. So I figure if I put some lights in there when it's all done, it'll add another dimension of character to it. And down here is where I will eventually find a llama. Really? don't get it. Anyway, this is where the mob farm will be, and this is also going to be where I'm going to drop all the extra vegetation and then bone meal it. I'm going to need a lot of bone meal block for the theme for this season. We're hoping we can actually stay around for a while. We've kind of broken a lot of the realms, so we started on Minecraft realms to begin with, and then the realms would lag out completely. If you watch this channel at all, you know way back there was a library, and there was a gigantic pit that I had made, and then I'd done the exterior of a library, and then that's also the village that was up in like the Space Needle in the sky. That realm got so laggy we had to stop, and so we transmitted to a server, which is what last season was our first attempt at a server. And then that server, for whatever reason, had a chunk that just corrupted the entire world, and it just would have continued to corrupt it. So even though my base was fine, it would have eventually not been. And then we started this thing. So I will have a mob farm, which I've never actually built a mob farm, so that will be my first attempt at that. I'm sorry. I'm negotiating. Thanks. I don't know why you were down here. This is going to take a while. Now I'm going to stop this particular dig down when I get to, I think it's Y11. I have a floor. It's either Y11 or 0. I have a floor. So essentially when I get down to what was old diamond... Really? And when I get down to roughly about here, there should be, actually I think it's even higher than that. There should be a base level, maybe on the iron level, that I dug out on from my starter base, which we're actually right above almost. So I think if I come over here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I think if I... Be really careful. Yep. I think down here, Y15. This is already the same chunks. So I had already dug down here, and this was actually water that was above here. And just like you can see below, there's water below. So I'm going to continue to have to deal with that as I go all the way down. But this kind of idea exists all throughout this build. All right, now I just need to find out how I got down here. Right here. I should just use the scaffold. And that chunk build out goes at several different ore block mechanics all the way down, like ore levels all the way down. So yeah, I've got quite a lot to do. Thank you very much for watching, if you are. Thank you for dealing patiently, because I know I've stopped and started several times. And, you know, for me, it's more of a hobby. If something ever takes off with this, great. If not, it's just fun to show. I greatly appreciate any patronage by just watching. I'm not talking about cash flow of these videos and supporting. You might find that a couple more of us start to record as well, as we start to build a little bit of community around our insane old man silliness. Like Graybeard Minecraft is really what we should be called, but we're TuesdayCraft because that's the game. That's the night of the week we all game and spend time with each other. Fallback Bowl was a part of that group. So we not only did we have technical issues, but then we had severe real life impacts on all of us. And we're just trying to put ourselves back together. But next time we'll show you around to some other stuff. I'm going to keep digging and doing my thing. We'll show you Spawn Point next time. We'll show you a lot of work that's been going on over there. Everybody's doing stuff. We're just kind of slow and healing, and it's okay. Yeah, but we're gonna do something in tribute to our now past friend who was an important part of all of our lives, and that is really going to be. There's other focuses to the season. There's other things we're going to do, but that is kind of the thing we've decided that we kind of want to do is and have that statue and honor him in that way. So thank you very much for tuning in. You have an excellent day. Goodbye.